Alright, everyone, welcome back to the Decade Dynasty, and we'll be covering the Week 1 matchups within the league. And we are going to start off with our matchup of the week being the Meat Tanks versus the Stone Oven Pizza People, which ended up in a less than 2-point victory for the Meat Tanks. This is how we're going to cover every matchup throughout the league. Just going to show every player's individual points, see which player or which side won the individual matchups with the players, and kind of just show all of that stuff. We're not going to bother with showing the benches, just the active players. And yeah, so this week we started Jalen Hurts, who picked up 27.62 points, Saquon Barkley, who picked up 35.2, Devon Achane, who picked up 24, Mike Evans, who picked up 24.1, Marvin Harrison Jr., who picked up a measly 1.4 in his debut, Dalton Cade, who picked up a disappointing 2.6, Kyler Murray with 20.39, Justin Tucker with 7, and the Browns defense with 3, for a total of 145.31 points. On the other side, we have the Stone Oven Pizza People, have Josh Allen picking up 36.86 points, Bijan Robinson with 20.10 points, Jonathan Taylor with 12.30, Michael Pittman Jr. with 7.6, Cooper Kupp with a whole 35 points, Kyle Pitts with 11.6, Justin Herbert with 13.03, Younghoe Koo with 4, and the Bengals defense with 3 for a grand total of 143.49 points. As you can see, the Pizza People starting quarterback Josh Allen beat out ours, Jalen Hurts. However, our running back Saquon Barkley and Devon Achane beat out theirs with Bijan and Jonathan Taylor. Mike Evans beat Michael Pittman, but Cooper Kupp destroyed Marvin Harrison, and Kyle Pitts knocked Dalton Kincaid out with a lot more points. Kyler Murray got a good amount more points than Justin Herbert. Justin Tucker got more than Younghoe Koo, and our defenses were even. However, we escaped this very close game that came down to the Lions and Rams overtime with Cooper Kupp to give us a less than 2-point victory. Moving on, we see the Snare Serpents versus the Rat Wizards. The Snare Serpents had Tua Tagovailoa with 26.35 points, Travis Etienne with 13.4, David Montgomery with 18.8, CeeDee Lamb with 15.6, Stephon Diggs with 22.4, George Kittle with 8.5, Jared Goff with 18.06, Kaimi Fairbairn with a whopping 17 points at kicker, and the Eagles defense with 4 for a grand total of 144.11 points. The Rat Wizards had CJ Stroud with 24.40. They had Christian McCaffrey in, who was still questionable going into their Monday matchup, so unfortunately he was not able to switch him out at the point of their game starting. James Cook picked up 15.3 points, A.J. Brown with 27.4, Brandon Ayuk with 5.8, Trey McBride with 9, Jordan Love with 23.07 before his injury, Harrison Butker with 9, and the Bucks defense with 5 for a total of 118.97. This was a bit more even than the previous matchup in terms of which side won more of their direct matchups. The Snare Serpents won 5 of their direct matchups, with the Rat Wizards winning 4 of them. However, despite this, the Snare Serpents did win by almost 30 points in a very convincing victory in Week 1 for this team. Moving on, we see the Armada versus the Vigilantes in the French showdown here. Colors of the French flag showing up here with a very convincing victory from the Armada. They started off with Anthony Richardson with 34.17 points, Breece Hall with 19.8, Rashad White with 18.1, Tyreek Hill with 30, Garrett Wilson with 13.5, Sam Laporta with 9.5, Dak Prescott with 15.65, Jake Moody with a whopping 26 points, and the Ravens defense with 4, giving them a large total of 170.72 points. The Vigilantes, however, had Joe Burrow with 12.27 points, Jahmyr Gibbs with 19.4, Isaiah Pacheco with 17.3, Justin Jefferson with 16.4, Jamar Chase with 13.7, Mark Andrews with 3.9, Jaden Daniels 34.83, Jake Elliott with 10, and the 49ers defense with 7, to give them a total of 134.8. Once again, a very convincing win from the runner-up champion from last year, the Armada. And we are going to move forward to the next matchup here, seeing the reigning champion taking on one of the newcomers in Purloiner's Pride. The Hoagies started off with Lamar Jackson at 34.88, Kyron Williams getting 16.4, Alvin Kamara with 24, Devontae Adams with 12.4, Deebo Samuel with 20.20, Travis Kelce with 7.4, Matthew Stafford with 23.02, Cameron Dicker with 12, and the Dolphins defense with 8, with a grand total of 158.3 points for the Hoagies. Purloiner's Pride here have Patrick Mahomes with 23.84, Derrick Henry with 12.6, Joe Mixon with 31.3, Amon-Ra St. Brown with 4.3, Puka Nacua with 8.7 before his injury, Jake Ferguson with 4.5, Trevor Lawrence with 15.4, Evan McPherson with 6, and the Jets defense with 2. And they ended with a total of 108.64 points, giving the Hoagies a fairly convincing win as well. Looking at the matchups, the Hoagies had a very strong advantage in this matchup, only losing one positional advantage to the Purloiner's Pride, being Alvin Kamara getting outscored by Joe Mixon. Overall, a very convincing win from the reigning champion, sending a message to the league that they are still one to be feared. Our weekly awards are as such. The best team belongs to the Armada, putting up 170.72 points, the most out of the entire league. Our players of the week, which we are going to have 2 of every week, are Saquon Barkley on the meat tank with 35.2 points, and Cooper Kupp with 35 points from the Stone Oven Pizza people. Our most efficient manager was the Vigilantes with a 99.3% accuracy rating, despite the lower score that they did put up. So that means their bench players did not really outscore their starters, and if they did, it was by very little. So going over some league transactions over the last week, we've had the Stone Oven Pizza people move Nick Chubb and TJ Hawkinson to IR as we predicted. They picked up Gardner Minshew and the Bagels. They picked up Gardner Minshew and the Bagels. They picked up Gardner Minshew and the Bengals defense, and they nicknamed Bijan Robinson Auntie Anne's Man, which is a gimmick within the league, within the app that we use for our league, which is yet to be unnamed unless we get a sponsorship by them, which I highly doubt. But yeah, we're going to go over nicknames if people nickname their players. Speaking of, we did nickname our entire roster, which we will go over after we talk about the Vigilantes nicknaming Joe Burrow Daddy. So, our nicknames are as such. Jalen Hurts is nicknamed Legendary. Kyler Murray, Full Speed Ahead. Baker Mayfield, Just a Man. Saquon Barkley, Ruthlessness. Davon Achan is Mutiny. Aaron Jones, No Longer You. Tank Bigsby, Our Glorious King, is God Games. Dalton Kincaid is Polyphemus. David Njoku is Monster. Mike Evans is Open Arms. Marvin Harrison Jr., the rookie, is A Little Wolf. Devonta Smith is There Are Other Ways. Lad McConkey, Suffering. Tank Dell is The Thunderbringer. Justin Tucker is Warrior of the Mind. And Brown's defense is A Different Beast. So our week 2 matchups show the Rat Wizards versus the Purloiners Pride. Purloiners Pride is projected to win this at 175.58 versus the Rat Wizards 159.03. Then we'll see the Snare Serpents versus the Hoagies. The Snare Serpents projected to win that one. 168.75 for the Snare Serpents and 164.09 for the Hoagies. Then we see the Stone Oven Pizza People versus the Vigilantes, with the Pizza People projected to win at 179.44 versus the Vigilantes with 173.22. Then our final matchup of the week see the military rivalry itself in the Meat Tanks versus the Armada. The Armada are projected to win at 184.60 versus our projected score at 172.97. And our final segment, going over our Week 1 overview, is what we will do from now on for this season, being titled Outscored by the King, which is going to go as such. If you're a notable player, not like a backup or a third string receiver or anything along those lines, if you're a notable player within a team's offense and you are outscored by the king running back in the league, Tank Bigsby, you will be listed here in this slide. Tank Bigsby in week 1 picked up 8.30 points. I believe he picked up, 75 yards? 73 yards on 12 carries. 8.30 points, managed to outscore Marvin Harrison Jr. on the Cardinals with 1.40 points, and Dalton Kincaid on the Bills for 2.60 points, both of which on the Meat Tanks. He also outscored Michael Pittman with 7.60 points for the Stone Oven Pizza People. Brandon Ayuk for the Rat Wizards, who scored 5.80 points. Mark Andrews, who started for the Vigilantes with 3.90 points. And Amon-Ra St. Brown on the Purloiners Pride, who scored 4.30 points. The way this works is if a player both starts and finishes a game, so if they get hurt in the middle of the game, they don't count. If they get hurt before a game and are out, they don't count. And they are started by a team's lineup, then it will be counted and quite possibly noted as being outscored by Tank Bigsby. So that being said, we're going to do this every week going forward for the rest of the season, and I hope everyone sticks around to see who is going to get outscored by the King Tank Bigsby next. So I thank you for watching the Week 1 overview. I wish every team luck in Week 2 other than the Cowboys, and I hope you stick around to see Week 2. So thank you for watching.